Kira, I love Benarini. It's a wonderful art center. I enjoyed my time there very much. And I love Tel Aviv. It's like Miami Beach. That's for
great.
sure.
That's great.
Thank you.
So
And
welcome.
Too. We still remember your visit.
Yeah. Welcome, Hayne. Hayne
Hi,
has
Elaine.
been the
How are you? Been a
I'm
while.
very well, thank you. Has been the president of the board at Studio Potter.
Hey.
And Robert Mills.
Hi, Vicky. How are you? Hey,
Alberta
Judy.
Croft.
How are you?
I don't know, but anyway, and Kurt Bensley and Sue Summers. Sue Summers is right here in Wyoming with me and a wonderful arts writer.
oh, really?
In various media.
And
But I'm
Alberta crowd, Jenna Santon, who are you?
Jenna, yeah, from Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Sorry, my computer's having a few issues. I am a ceramic artist. I was a curator at Medelta, international artist in residence in Medicine Hat, Alberta for a number of years. And now I'm the executive director of the Alberta Craft Council.
Oh, wow.
And a ceramic artist as
good.
well, when I have some time for that. So
Good.
looking forward to today's talk.
Thank you
Good.
so much.
Um,
Thank you. I love Robert, always shows up in his dirty clay apron.
I know, I love it. Yeah. So before we start, I just want to repeat what I always say, that the mission of Critical Connections is to encourage and enhance critical discourse in this field of ceramics. And I have one announcement before I let Judy take this over, but I just found out this morning at an art event, that Montana State University in Billings is looking for a 1-year replacement. So if any of you people know of someone who would like to go and teach, they would be listed as a lecturer, not an adjunct. And I think that will get them a little bit more money. Billings is about 2 hours from where I am. So email me if you know, or just put it in the chat if you know of someone who might be out there looking for a 1-year gig, and then they will be doing a search. So there's always a possibility of it moving into more. But I am happy to introduce a friend, dear friend, and a force in this of nature and in the ceramics field, Judith Schwartz. I'm going to let you take it over, Judy.
Thank you, Elaine. And I really am delighted to see so many of old friends and new ones today. This is very special for me. I've been a long admirer of all of your work. You all date back long history with me. And I've always been thrilled by your work, by your enthusiasm, by your writing. Every one of you in your own way has inspired me and made me feel part of the ceramic community, which I feel is so powerful and strong. And even now in my mindset, because of the new website that I've developed called Ceramic World Destinations, which lives on the Museum of Ceramic Art, New York. If you don't mind, I'd like you to share the screen with me. So I can just get into a little bit. My aim and purpose today is to invite you to, let's see, I share screen and click on it, share, okay. So for those of you who might not have gotten my first email of the launch, which I did on July 28th, I wanted to share with you a little bit about the website itself and my orientation. And then I've prepared a writer's guide for you. The Museum of Ceramic Art, New York, is this homepage platform for this not-for-profit. It originated, the whole idea for Ceramic World Destinations originated with an international organization that I was part of that I was asked as a vice president to bring awareness to the site. And so I decided to do this world map. But after a few years, I realized that the organization didn't at this time have the resources to develop it in the way that I thought it needed to go. And so I took it to develop it myself until such time some organization maybe might want to take it over. I don't know. But the idea was, I thought, too good to let it wallow, or not wallow, but remain unnoticed. So this is the homepage of MoCA New York, and it's a virtual platform for all things clay. And I do call it the Google map of ceramics. And this is a little bit of the of a little dynamic aspect of how to use the map. My very first newsletter went out, as I said, on July 28th. And this explore section are the categories of information that I'll go into in just a moment. Now, the CWD map itself is quite a powerful map of all around the world of locations. And as you maneuver around the world, you can hone in on a section of the world. And as you keep honing in, the websites drop up, and my next goal is to go beyond the website, but to an actual image when you open up the website. I've been currently working for the last 2 months intensely with the university in Mexico, and they put a research team onto opening up Mexico, not only to their cultural intangible heritage sites, but for example, just a month ago, Mexico was practically empty on my map. But now all of a sudden I have Baja California opening up. And yesterday I got 40 more from the research students. I was just so thrilled. And now all of a sudden when you open up, and whenever I went to Oaxaca, or if I went to Puebla, I didn't really know where to go, because there, it was a cultural heritage site, yes, but individual potters, and to see some of the best people there, I didn't know where to go. And so right now, yesterday, I just got 40 more that I have to go through. I can show you how I do it. But now all of a sudden in Guadalajara, all of these places have opened up for me and for you. Pop Dots. It was such a great studio. And I think when you start exploring the world on all of these sites, it's so exciting. I can't tell you, every day I sit at the computer and open up all of these websites. Let's go to Pop Dots and see what it looks like. And it's just in Mexico, this wonderful site is just great. And then you can explore the people's work in this site. Anyway, you can do that throughout the world. I'm just zooming in and zooming out, and you can do this, as I said, all over the world. One of the new things I'm planning on doing is not only individual artist sites, but cultural heritage sites, which is not that well known to all of us. And I mean, we do know Jindagen in China, and we know Shigaraki in Japan, maybe parts of Mexico, but I'm uncovering, for example, Peru and other parts in South America. And just speaking with a German artist the other day, I'm going to be doing the history of Meissen. And I might very well do a new map, a cultural heritage map, because a cultural heritage is not just a specific artist or museum, it's a region. And so every one of these places on the map has a latitude and longitude, which then places them on the map with an address that you can then go visit. And I have some really strong criteria for being on the map. And if you hit the submitted destination, you can go to the submit form and it will come up. And here you can see the destination name, the country, the city, etc. And then I show you how to do the latitude and longitude, which then allows me to place it on the map. And then these are the categories that I've developed that I think would be the most interest to all of us. Can you see this all clearly, by the way? The museum is a good size. And then your contact, I need a destination contact to make sure that they agree to be on the map, and then your email, etc. And then that you've read this criteria. And the criteria are here as well. And this is the criteria list for how they get on the map. I do not take Instagram or Facebook because I have a responsibility to give you an address. I'm not going to send you someplace in the world without you knowing where you're going. And there has to be a contact information for that person's site so that you're not just going out off into the dark. So that's very important to me. And you can navigate the map by just, let's say, I'm just working on 36 hours in the first 36 hours in New York, because I'm from New York, so I know ceramic art in New York. But our next one, I'm very happy to say that Ranti Tain, who was the former director of the European Work Center, now Dean of the Royal College, he's done 36 hours in Amsterdam. But the next one after Amsterdam is Rome. So if you just typed in Rome, these are all the ones now that are going to be listed on the 36 hours in Rome. And there's so many that on the bottom of the page, you can scroll through the various places in Rome that they've organized. So that's the Ceramic World Destinations map. The newest thing that I've done here is the Explore, and this is where you all come in as writers. I've decided what are the best. I'm looking for something fresh and new on the site. And so we're not a magazine, we're not Studio Potter, you know, where we have in-depth articles. The fact is that in being in my 80s now and realizing that I ain't a social media person and I'm not an influencer, and all these words are new to me, but I have to say, when I've learned that people don't spend more than 11 seconds on a page when they're reading, it's sort of very disheartening. So I'm trying to capture a soundbite, I guess, if you want, but the articles live forever on the site, as Elaine knows so well, that when she does these YouTubes, etc., that they're there as history. And so all the articles are history here too. So we have in the studio, we have book talks, exhibitions, the 36 hours, which is exploring ceramics in a city around the world, the cultural heritage sites, and clay and technology. So they're all color-coded. So the first one we started off with in the studio with Peter Lane. And if you click on it, he's doing a huge commission at the hotel in London. And so if you click on the website to read more, you'll go into his team and how they are working on this huge mural for this museum, this hotel. My cultural heritage page for this opening one was interviewing what's her name? Oh, Rashi Jane, I'm sorry. Rashi, and I had spent some time with her in Mumbai, and the potters that live in Mumbai, there were at that time maybe 1,000 potters living there. And if you click on this site, this is the most wonderful interview about these potters that are being displaced because they live vertically and their kiln is fueled by oil and rag burning. And they built a children's hospital right around the corner. So when they fire in these open firing pits, the smoke goes right into the hospital, the children's hospital. And the government is now needing the land that they're on for urban renewal. And so the potters are being displaced. But Rashi did the most fabulous film. And at the end of this interview with her, there's this film, which I'm not going to play for you. You can do it on your time. So that's the cultural heritage site, but this is the interview with her, and then this 2-minute film at the end. And then the next, the book review was this book review of Wild Clay that this wonderful couple that live in South Carolina have done. They lived in Shigaraki, and now they're taking that Shigaraki experience to dig clay in a very sustainable way, and it's a wonderful book. So this is the first of the next one is 36 Hours in New York. And it's as though I were taking you around. I can't tell you, living in Manhattan and for so many years having people call me, Judy, I'm coming to New York. What should I see? Where should I eat? Where should I go? And so now I just now refer them to this because all my hot tips are here. And so the 36 Hours is great. It's not just about ceramics galleries, but hot restaurants, nice bars, where to get tickets for some off-Broadway show and that kind of thing. And so everyone who's invited to do a 36 hours in a city, I'm asking them as connoisseurs of ceramics to give us their personal haunts as though they were taking you around as a dear friend. And so that's been very successful. I got a lot of feedback on this.
Could you, Judy, could you show us what that looks like a little bit? Because that might be that some people here want to do.
So here I start off Tribeca, Chinatown, and East Village. So at 3 p.m., because I figured I would just pick a time, you dropped off your bags and you're getting acclimated. So I tell you how to get down to Canal Street and to Tribeca and Chinatown. So when you click on that gallery, it takes you right to the gallery so that you know exactly what the show is at the moment. And so it's a great way to get immediate feedback of somebody telling you right then and there what's going on. And like the HB 391 gallery or the Grimm gallery, these are all links. At the currently, George Adams is doing the Robert Arneson show. So if you're in town and you know, George Adams has represented Arneson for years, and before that, it was Frumkin until George took it over. So then I have you restaurants. Now I'm not linking you to restaurants, but I am linking you only to the ceramic sites. So day 2 is Midtown and Chelsea, where to have lunch and go to Mad Museum and where to eat around there. And then more galleries with ceramic artists, and then a late night walk on the High Line, and then the ceramic tours there, the Upper East Side. And then I think one of the best things about New York now is to take the ferry. It's like being in Istanbul on the Bosphorus River. I always said how amazing it is to take a ferry in Istanbul. But now in New York, from Manhattan, like right here, 34th Street, you can take a 40-minute trip right to Coney Island for the price of a subway token, $2.95. You can't beat that anywhere. or you can go out to Rockaway and swim in the beach and then take the ferry back. That's a good trip too. But from 34th Street, you can go to Wall Street, you can go to Governor's Island. And then I've also given you the subway map because I do refer to the subway map. So Elaine, that's the 36 hours.
That's great. That's great.
Thank
Is
you.
New York the only one on there right now?
Yeah, every newsletter is going to be a different city. I'm generating all of this, myself with a small team of people, and everyone is contributing. It's part of a shared community. So Ranti was thrilled to do it. My Lorianne is thrilled to have done it for Rome. I have someone doing, hey, Shira, we have to have someone do Tel Aviv. All right. Anyway, so that's the explore page. And so these are the categories of writing that I'm asking you to think about. And then, so this is where you could come in, and I'm going to go into that in just a moment. So now, the next, of course, if you scroll along the top, will be about. And so this is the mission of MoCA and what we plan to do and what Ceramic World destinations, and here you can submit a destination. Currently, these are my board members across the top, and not all of the people below are with me any longer, but I'm a lot of almost everybody is a volunteer. So it's just amazing the grassroots that have come into this that has meant so much to me. And I think they all sort of get the excitement of what this does about bringing our community together. And then the contact page is just how to get in touch with me. And of course, the donate page, because right now I'm funding it all myself. And then a few contributions that have come in from this first launch have been extraordinary, and I'm so thrilled about it. So now what I would like to share specifically that I've created for you guys, and that is this submission form. I have to say that writing in this field has meant a lot to me. It is the writers, it's you guys, me included, that I think we generate that cross-cultural exchange and thrill about what we're working on. And I'll get to that in a moment in terms of the questions, but here's what I would like from you, and as I think would be of interest for you. So you can read this. I'm going to send you a link to this page. And again, it's reiterating the sections that I want to explore in the studio. Again, with an international interest and scope. There aren't any, though Jenny is from Canada, and thank you for being here from Israel, but I want to really get an international spin on all of these articles, because as you could see from my map, just opening up some of these sites is incredibly exciting and opens up new worlds of learning that I travel a lot, but the website has just opened me up to culture and to new ways of looking at things that I hadn't seen before. So in the studio, if there are artists and residencies that you're interested in, design shops, or you've traveled and you want to write about something, that would be great. When it comes to clay and technology, I'm not so interested in, and I don't think none of us are really interested in, on how to do technology, but what are the content and ideas that artists are using technology to get across. So our first one was this artist who I hear a little flutter. What's that? Okay, thanks. The first one was an artist who uses 3D printing to chart climate change. And I'm sorry, I didn't show it to you on the site. Let's see if, let me just go back to it. And, but this first one, this artist, Kichi Takechuchi, I don't pronounce his name, but what he did was that he charted 100 years of climate change in the world and then charted it on a graph. And then the 3D printer created the form that visually demonstrated the climate change. And I thought that was just brilliant. So you can click on this and you can see his film and his interview, and it's absolutely terrific. Our next one is going to also be using technology with artificial intelligence, and that also impacts on the way an artist is interpreting the world. So that's the clay technology. The book talk, there's so many books written internationally now, just not from American writers, but there's a new book on Palestinian art. There's a wonderful, there are new catalogs coming out. And if any of you are interested in reviewing any of these international books, that would be wonderful as well. So I've already gone into exhibition reviews with the curator or the director. I'm doing an interview with the curator of a international show that's going to open up in Switzerland. So that's, again, a new way of finding out what's going on around the world and meeting new artists. Cultural heritage sites, I'm not sure I'm going to do a new map. Maybe it'll be on the same map. But when you do click on a cultural heritage site, it's going to go to the history and the current status of the site in the world. And then, of course, I've gone over the 36 hours. So here are the submission guidelines. And then this is the form itself that you can fill out, your first name, last name, etc., and then what category it falls into. And how am I doing on time? Is it okay? Great. It's only 4:30. Great. And then finally, at the end, I'd like to get a 100-word pitch on what the article is about. And here's a link to writing a pitch. And then anything else that you'd like to do, just tell us, and then to submit it. So
Judy,
yeah.
we just want to make sure we leave time for discussion.
Exactly. So I'm
Yeah.
finishing up now, and I'm going to unshare. Okay. So that's the website. And now what I wanted to do and discuss with you, first of all, of course, to get your reaction and to hear what you might have to say. I just want to copy, before I forget, I just want to copy this link in the chat group, if you don't mind, the link for the website to everyone. Not to the website, but to the submission form. Okay. All right, good. So, look, I've been an educator for many years, wearing many hats and curating and teaching, et cetera, like you all have done. And we all have passions and interests. So what I'm asking you now as a writer is that, what is it about the MoCA site that might expand your interest in our international community? If you open up a site and you want to interview an artist that you've never heard of before, or just curious about it, I would like you to do that. So that's the first thing, that I'd like to ask. Are there reaction to the using the map and how you as a writer might even approach using an international map like this that is already, I think, vetted in a way that enables you to find really creative, interesting souls around the earth that are working in our same material. Then again, I want to know what kind of hot issues there are for you as a writer or even as an artist. Haynes, you work in your studio. What could you share with other artists around the world that you might want to share in terms of an article or an interview? And then again, are there categories that I haven't even listed that you might want to add to this? So I'll stop talking now for a moment because I have a few more questions that I wanted to throw out to you. But now I'm open for discussion and questions and feedback. And my goodness, is that Tony? Tony
Yeah.
Hamilton, my goodness, how wonderful to see you,
From
Tony.
Puerto Rico.
It's so nice from Puerto Rico. You're very, very well represented on our map.
That's great.
Thanks to you.
I
and
know
all of you who contributed.
Nancy Service had her hand up, and then Diane Charnoff. Go ahead, Nancy.
Judy, congratulations on such an incredible project. And every time I see an iteration of it, it's like a blooming flower, opening, and just, it's terrific. And in fact, I was traveling at the beginning of the summer and I used the map. I was over in Amsterdam and France and Switzerland, and I used the map, and it was very helpful.
I'm so glad.
One thing I was wondering about is, have you given it any thought about maybe having temporary exhibitions as part of that, or is this strictly a resource-driven project?
Tell me more. How do you envision that?
Well, I was just thinking, I'm hearing what I'm hearing is that you're looking for writers, and you're looking for writers to volunteer their time for writing. And then I was wondering, well, what is there like a recognition of the writer somehow? Or is there just, I think an exhibition of work from a country that maybe people aren't getting to regularly could be quite interesting, but that's a completely different part of.
Right. Now you've asked two questions. Yes,
Yeah.
You will definitely, as a writer, get a byline, and people will know you and they will have your contact information. I'm all about people connecting to each other.
Mhm.
And while I don't have money at the time,
Right.
I
I get
had
that.
no money. This is sort of like a grassroots.
Mhm.
I have no money. I put in many, many thousands of dollars already, paying the developer to make this incredible map. It's quite an incredible map. But I definitely, everyone gets a byline, and they get not only a byline, but a 50-word or 100-word thing about who you are.
Right.
And it will give you that exposure. I sent out this mailing to over 12,000 people worldwide. That is a huge,
Yes.
and I don't know even about MailChimp. I'm learning every day. This morning I'm trying to learn how MailChimp works and all of that. But I must say that when I had someone look at the amount of hits, 70% of what I sent out was opened and so
That's excellent.
I was told that was an enormous amount.
Yeah.
So I feel that the map and the site is fulfilling a goal.
Yep.
Secondly, your question about exhibitions. I love the idea of an exhibition. If you want to curate an exhibition online, that would be incredible. I would love it. I'm open to any of ideas that spark your imagination. If you find an interesting artist in Greece who's
Right.
working on Hellenistic, Cycladic theme that someone in Peru is doing, I mean, how wonderful that kind of dialogue could be. I'd
Yeah.
love the dialogue of artists from different cultures talking about a particular idea and how it relates in their own culture and how it differs or is similar.
Yeah, I think that would be really exciting. I understand that that would be a whole another big balloon to try to, add into what you've already accomplished, which is amazing. But that could be, a new phase, but something to start thinking about. Yeah.
So I have the category called In the Studio.
Right. I
So
saw,
if you wanted to do a submission of In the Studio of an interesting concept of a studio presentation, Nancy, I would welcome it. It would be wonderful. Now, the writing is only, I said, between 500 and 1,500 words. I don't think that's a big, for us as writers, 500 words, 1,000 words is nothing.
Yeah.
We do it like that, in terms of, I mean, it doesn't come easy, but we can do it. But even a 500 word, like the interview with Rashi about the Mumbai pot, is only 500 words. And it's, or with Beryl Anomet in Istanbul, the interview was short, but then her film of her taking us through her exhibition was very exciting. And then you see this Istanbulian artist and how she views the world in terms of her work. I think that's fascinating.
Thank you.
And
Diane.
if you're done, I just wanted to say, Judith, amazing. And the only thing I quibble with you, that you are an influencer. You're an international influencer, and your reach is incredible, and a 70% open rate is unbelievable. When you mentioned funding, two ideas come to mind. One is the Center for Craft Wingate Fellowships.
Right.
And especially if you've partnered with any of the graduate students from any university, there is a significant amount of money. I was on the Center for Craft board for 7 years, just ended. And I would say take a close look at that and an application, because I think this is rich for being funded. I also might direct you to the Patreon. I'm sure you know Ben Carter, Patreon, Patreon. It's a website that crowdsourced individuals can support monthly with donations, and it would work also, Elaine, for this group. And a lot of money has been raised, even in the ceramics community, by people like Ben Carter for Tales of Red Clay Rambler. And also imagining whether podcasts, I know we're all writers, but I also now think of writing in terms of speaking and transcripts and how people absorb information orally or orally AU, and having some links to podcasts. And the third point is Atlas Obscura has also taken over in the art world as a very popular way for craft and art to get funding and to get people involved, and potentially piggybacking with pre-existing groups that exist, because you're making really an Atlas Unobscura of ceramics in the world. And so I just think it's rich for a lot of cross-marketing possibilities. So the financial burden could be elsewhere, and all the great ideas you have could be front and center in your mind and others.
Diane, I really appreciate your sharing these 3 items. I do know, I just haven't had time to focus on the raising of the money, since I wanted to get the excitement going for the site. But on the Center for Craft Creativity, I probably should. I don't know about writing grants. It's part of my brain that is not developed enough. But what was the second one? Patreon?
Patreon, Patreon.
R-E,
And
Oh.
I can EON, I'll separately send you some links and some
Okay, great.
suggestions.
and I
But
do have to compliment you because at the Renwick, you're doing a tour that you advertise to New Zealand, right? New Zealand.
yes,
And I was so thrilled because I went to New Zealand and all of the artists that you're going to, well, not all the artists, some of the artists don't want their studios open, but the museums and everything, they were on my site. So I want to report when you come back from these New Zealand places, but I love the idea. One of the things I will be doing on the site will be doing travel guides to a country. And it might not just be a city, but it maybe will be a guide. Like Elaine's going to India. I might set up a tour for you in India for the ceramic communities that you would jump to, you know. Anyway, there was a travel agency that got in touch with me that specializes in India, and she wants to advertise or put together tours for us on the site. Yes, Anna.
I just wanted to, hi Judy.
Hi, Dawn.
I just wanted to continue the Patreon. I'm glad you mentioned that, Diane. And Art Access, Brian Harper, you know, with Art Access, he might be a good contact in terms of like, he knows how to utilize it. He has set up a membership. It's $10 a month. So I'm a member at only 10. I don't even see it. It goes, you know, from a credit card or something to Patreon. And so that he has a steady stream then of members, as well as people then that can go on that site and buy artwork. So he has like a monthly show and that kind of thing. But I think that membership aspect might be something for you to think about, that people would join this amazing thing as a member, $5, $10 a month. But if you get a good handful of those people, then you're going to generate a nice steady stream. So when you mentioned that, Diane, I was thinking about Art Access and their membership might be something worthwhile checking into.
Yep, it's true. I just have to get on it, and I don't want to sell anything yet until I prove
No, I'm
it.
not suggesting that. I'm just suggesting that there might be a way
No,
that you sell the
exactly.
memberships. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel an obligation to prove something of value first. And then if people love it, then they'll want to contribute. But that doesn't work that way. I'm finding it doesn't necessarily work that way, because if it's free and they love it, that's okay. It's free. Why not? But the fact is that, you know, for my legacy, where I'm going in the next, I mean, how many more years can I work on it? But I want it to be somewhere in the future. And I'd love it to live on in some way. And I'm working on that aspect of it too. So,
Judy, I noticed you have a segment for books. Does that include periodicals in ceramics?
yes.
It does. Okay, good.
Yes, that would be great. And artists catalogs, I know Janet many does artist catalogs. You know, an artist is having an opening or having a show, and there's I would love to have the writer who's written a catalog to review the artist's work for us. The point is, though, that I'm wanting to make is that I want the site to be exciting for you as a writer and for the organizations that you represent. And I'm getting out there in the world, and I'm hoping to expand your influence by your coming to the site and writing on it and getting the byline. So what are the hot issues for you? You know, what do you want? What do you think is important now in our field? And are there categories not listed? I thought again, I'm not a magazine, but I want to be relevant, extremely relevant. And one last thing I am going to say in terms of something that we could do here on the site, and that is I'm a strong believer in opinion and an op-ed page. I'm thinking of adding an op-ed page. That's one of my go-tos in the New York Times every day, because I like to see various opinions of what people are thinking, and it is a different slant on the way I might come to something. So I think after getting ready for you and preparing this guideline for you, which thank you for helping me do that, Elaine, because I hadn't gotten to that head thinking yet. I was thinking, why not have an op-ed page where people could really voice their strong opinion? Like Shira, I mean, somebody that would write an article about Palestinian ceramics and how it relates to what are things happening among the artists between Israel and Palestine and the Palestinian artists. I mean, how would we even broach it? We need to have that information. We'd love to have a point of view. And there are plenty of Israelis with very strong points of view. So
a few women. Yeah. Well, if you approach me, I wanted to say, first of all, I adore your work. It's amazing and very inspiring, very, very inspiring. And for me, as an editor of a new magazine that, we have, we write about local clay artists, but also about international. And for me, it's an amazing source, because I have a few Israeli ceramicists that live, in New York, one in Amsterdam, and even there they don't have all this information. So for me, it's really a good place to check and send them to see. And well, I don't know how can we donate but I can promise that I will check how we can translate to English some of our articles if you're interested, and I'll send you.
that would be great. That would be great. And there is a donate section on the website.
Yeah.
just in case you're looking.
Yes. So maybe.
And I
we
want to
can
say,
some
here that Judy, I normally pay a small honorarium, and Judy has asked that hers be a donation to the site. So that's what we'll be doing through Critical Connections.
Yeah, I don't want money. I just want to give back to this group, and we're all here to support each other in various ways. We're not in competition with each other, where there's all a shared community, and this website, which is free, and all this. I mean, 6 years I've been on it now, and more than 6 years, because Elaine knows I started it years ago for the IAC, but again, I needed to take it to where I had a vision for it. And so that's where it is now. But I have to say that the point you made before about sharing ideas and translating into English, what's nice about Google and having an online site is that oftentimes I just hit the Google Translate and I copy and paste text and I put it into Google Translate, and so everything comes out in the language that I want. So we could do that too. You could give it to me in Hebrew, and we let people fend for themselves in some way. Though my web designer is looking into having a tab right on my site that will translate into many languages.
Have you thought about a blog on there, Judy?
I don't know what that actually is. Isn't my newsletter a blog? These young kids that tell me my newsletter is a blog. I don't know.
It gives an opportunity for responses from those who read. So it would not be as full blown as an op-ed, but it can create dialogue.
But what I do need, I do not have, nor do I have skill in social media. And I have an Instagram account that I've not been able to start up, and a Facebook account. And apparently that's where people go. And I had not a clue how to do it and where to go and get the people to do it. I got this fabulous person from Alfred, but an undergraduate. She's just too busy to work on it, but her ideas were fabulous. But I wanted a ceramic student, someone under 30, I guess, who understands social media. So if you know anyone who's excited about bringing community together, I am looking for someone. And look, my board is in China and it's all across the world. So the fact is that everyone works remotely. I have to also say that COVID, in many ways, as scary and as frightening and as debilitating it was for all of us, this perk of now us getting together on Zoom, it has been a real wonderful outlet from COVID that I'm so grateful for, because I don't see many of you unless I'm at a conference or, we've touched bases 20, 30 years ago, but to stay in touch now like we can here on Zoom is so meaningful to me.
Mhm.
And Elaine, thank you for doing this, because it's such a meaningful dialogue with our peers. It's so important.
Thank you, Judy. And I have to say that this wouldn't have come about if it hadn't been for COVID, because it started with when I was finishing my MA in English. My thesis defense had to be on Zoom, so I invited many people from around the world to sit in on my thesis defense. And then I started getting emails saying, let's keep this going. We've been doing this now we started in May of 2020, so more than 3 years this has been going.
All right. Bob Milnes, I do know Poe very well, and he was on the IAC board with me, and he wanted to do the book, and while he wanted to actually do a poster for the world, for world destinations. I thought it was an older way of thinking about the dynamic aspect. And that's why I went ahead with my developing of this online map. But I do know Poe, and have been in touch with him, and that's a very good resource. I do know about the book, and I'd like to have it reviewed. Maybe you might want to ask him to review it for the website. That would be great. That would be terrific. Was there any other questions? Let's see.
You were asking about interesting topics, and I look a lot about articles about craftivism, looking for artists that use clay as an agenda to say things. I know that in the States, things are not that great in some places. In Israel now, it's a catastrophe. I won't get to this, but I'm really looking after, and all over the world, clay artists that say something with their clay about critical, you have, since your book, I haven't heard too many artists talking about gender, yes,
Confrontational
about
issues.
politics,
Right.
about everything that.
It's interesting, when confrontational ceramics came out, it was thought of as being very new, gender issues and environmental concerns and the categories that I have in my book. And since then, I've now had people write me that say that they're part of the confrontational movement. I didn't know it was a movement, but people now use that term to work on much more heavily charged issues. And just like this artist who did this climate change using 3D printing, I found it so powerful to visually put into a pot that change in environment that as a visual artist, we respond to, because it's the visualization that for me speaks more than thousands of words. When you get that gut feeling like Arneson's nuclear warhead, you know, you just want to just scream because the presence of that work is so moving. So I agree. I've been asked to do another edition of Confrontational because there are so many issues out there. Sure, we can certainly share that. I definitely want to put out more confrontational work on the site. So, you know, please get me in touch with those artists. The artist in my book from Israel, she did a cactus with the spikes that and she blew up the cactus. It was just a video of the whole thing blowing up, just like Israel. Well, anyway, yes. Says, thank you for sharing. How do you consider including ceramics in Mexico, Central and South America, and has given us such a wonderful. So, Tony, I got a grant from this Mexican university. They put all of their students on to bringing up Mexico and enlightening us about Mexican diaspora of clay, not only in cultural heritage sites, but artists working there. The problem I have, Tony, is that I try to get in touch with key people who live in Uruguay and in Peru, and some people help, and some just falls by the wayside. So any contacts that you can give me, I give a training session on how to do the latitude and longitude and the criteria on the website. So it all is explained there, but there's also a contact me on the website, and you can also just ask me directly, Tony. But Tony, if you know people in Central and South America that are not on the map, ask them to submit themselves or just to get in touch with me, and I'll help them submit themselves.
I will do that, Julie, because I do believe that there's a disconnection of what you're doing with that part of the country. Maybe it has to do with the English language. I don't really know. But I believe that I have contact with many of the people in Uruguay, Argentina, Peru, Chile, Brazil, Venezuela, Colombia, Guatemala, and Mexico, of course.
Right.
And of key people that do belong to the Academy. And for some reason, maybe I have to see how I can help them get to you and maybe create some sort of a tour of different countries, because what's happening right now in these 2 last years is something extraordinary in many countries. What is going on? What Norman Greenberg has a fantastic show at the university in Puerto Plata in Brazil. And Graciela Olio, Ruth Roscoff, these are key people in ceramics, contemporary ceramics.
Right. I
in
want
these
to tell you,
countries.
Tony, I just opened the map while you were talking, and I went to South America and Brazil and Chile. If you haven't seen the map in a while, please look
Okay.
at it now, because I've gotten wonderful help from people in Uruguay and in Peru. But if yes, there are gaps. So, but please look at the map now, because it's quite a bit different than it was 6 months ago.
Okay.
I mean, I'm at the computer maybe 7 hours a day working on getting people up here on the site and getting places listed. But Tony,
Yeah, I know.
I absolutely agree with you. There are parts of Africa, you have no idea how hard it is
Uh-huh.
to get
Yes.
Africa, Congo, and I have this, thank God to Anna, is she still on?
No,
No,
she had to leave.
Oh, okay. Anna had a graduate student from Ghana. And
Uh-huh.
so I picked his brain for the last 6 months, and he put a lot of Africa on the map. So I'm just really interested in you looking at the map and seeing empty locations. Isn't it
Okay.
incredible, the diaspora of clay around the world?
I know. I know. And I really, I enjoy it. You know, I keep in touch with as many people as I can. And at my age, I'm not working that much. I do work a lot in this sort of thing. And I do write for Puerto Rico. So I'll start writing for you of people that I have met and I have interviewed in many other places, sometimes from Mexico, sometimes they come. I'll try to do the best I can. So I'm working on a show right now, so not till after September will you get my thing. But anyway, I will try to, because I do believe that we need it. We need the global part of it, of the job that you're doing, okay?
Thank you, Tony. You've always been a hard worker, and you've always said yes to everything. So here's an,
That's my
even at
problem.
your age, even at your age now, and you look so wonderful. I can't tell you how
You.
much it is to see you. Thank you, Tony, dear.
You're
Yeah.
welcome, Judy. I'll try.
Before we
Thank you,
go,
Elaine.
and before I say thank you to Judy, I want to let you know of one other opportunity for writers. The Gentile Foundation, which is here in Wyoming and headed by Mary Jane Edwards, a ceramics
Uh-huh.
artist, has a collaboration with the Archie Bray Foundation. And the chosen writer, Nancy Service, has been a Gentile critic. I have been. Diane Charnoff has been as well. And what happens is that the selected writer goes to the Bray and works with the artists there. In the past, it's been the fellowship artists. There's a stipend. It was $2,000. I don't know if that's the same. But then once you've visited with the artists there, then you go to Gentel, which is an amazing residency here.
Mhm.
And it's free, and you have a month to write the essays for those artists. It's a great opportunity. Their deadline is coming up. If I can find the deadline, I'll send it to you. But if you look under the Gentel Foundation, Gente.
Yeah, I know. I know Mary Jane. She came to Puerto Rico.
I know.
Can you put it on the chat? And Elaine, how do you share the chat so that after we leave, I can read all of these remarks?
I can, it will download and I can attach it when I send the link.
Oh, great. That'd
Okay.
be great. You bring up a good point. Just one last point about the pay. And Nancy, I appreciate you mentioning before, about doing this and, about compensation. At this point, I would love to compensate anyone who writes. I just, as a startup, I just don't have the resources now. And I think there's a certain amount of maybe give back or sharing, or maybe out of the goodness of all of our hearts, to do this in a shared way. But Diane, I really appreciate the follow-up in terms of these other sites to follow up. It's hard to do everything all the same time, but I'll get there. But believe me, if you do write something and if I get money in the bank, I'll send you a check.
Judy, it's so understood that this is a really special project. And so that wasn't really a guideline that was crucial for me, but I just felt it was what, writers like to have their name somehow put out there, whatever, but I see the breadth of this and even what it could be. And I'm just so impressed with your dedication and enthusiasm and vision. And so you know, to be a part of that in some way would be a real gift, I
Well, I
think.
appreciate that. And definitely what I can offer you is exposure.
Yeah.
And you know what? Exposure
Yep.
and sharing with each other.
Yes.
Isn't that what we all about? The money,
Yes.
you long forget the money that you got for writing an article, but you get the feedback. I mean, I always felt how wonderful it was to have somebody read an article or
Yeah.
look at my book. And it wasn't so much that I got $20 for the book. You know, it wasn't there. It's not the money part. It's really the exchange. And I'm sure it's for all of you that same way.
Maybe someone could submit an article to Studio Potter on this program. I think that would be great. It's an
Yeah.
I
honor.
was just
magazine.
thinking about that.
Were you? Good.
Yes.
Vicky, come interview me anytime. I'd be
There you
happy,
go.
especially with my history with Studio Potter. And
Mhm.
Jerry never took advertising.
No, never.
Yeah, for
I'll
those
talk to
who
you next week.
who came on a little later, Vicky Jimson Flood is the new executive director at Studio Potter. So we're happy to have her here. Okay,
are.
well, we're a little over time, but I'm always excited when people get this excited about a presenter. And Judy, it's been great to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
putting that donation through to all of your efforts. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you all very much.
Thank
You're
you.
really deep in my heart. All
Thank
of
you, Judy.
Thank you,
Great
Judy. Thank
project.
you, Elaine.
Bye-bye now.